Welcome to the Valley Politics History Interviews. I'm Terry Christensen. Dianne McKenna held public office in the Valley for 20 years as a member of the Sunnyvale City Council and then the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors when women were in the majority on the board. As a supervisor, she was a leader on transportation and planning issues, including serving on the Metropolitan Transportation Commission. Later, she joined the California Transportation Commission. We aired our interview with Supervisor McKenna in two parts in 2019. Now, here it is in full. Dianne McKenna, welcome to Valley Politics.
It's good to be here, Terry.
So, Sunnyvale City Council, 1977.
That's
and
right.
then county supervisor, you were elected county supervisor in 1984. What got you into politics in the first place? Why were you running for office?
Well, I first ran for Sunnyvale City Council because I'd gotten my master's degree at San Jose State in urban and regional planning.
Yeah.
And I applied for the planning commission. And I applied twice and was denied twice. But the second time around, the Ralph M. Brown Act had been passed, which was an open meetings meeting. So I got to see my competition. And there were a number of people applied, and I thought, well, I was at least in the top three. And none of the people in the top three got appointed. So I said, okay, if I can't get appointed to the planning commission, I'll run for city council. And that's what I did, with the support of a community group called Orchards.
Oh, yeah.
We were then, protecting open space and, trying historical preservation, all of those things. So with their support, I ran and won.
And then 7 years later, ran for county supervisor. Why county? Why were you interested in county government?
Well, I really liked local government, and city government is kind of the nuts and bolts of government. And I'd run into my constituents in all the shops and be around. And I enjoyed that, but I thought, I'd really like to try something different, but still be local. And so county government, which most people don't understand, is an arm of the state. So it's less parks and roads and those kinds of things, and more social services, health services, community issues. So I thought that would be a nice change in what I had been doing.
And I guess it worked out for you. You were there for 12 years.
Yes,
Yeah?
yes.
So you enjoyed working on those policies.
Yeah,
particularly.
I enjoyed my 12 years there. In the meantime, the citizens passed a term limit for Board of Supervisors. But in all honesty, I think the 12 years
12
there
was
out
enough?
of those two.
You could still be there without term limits. No?
No, I enjoyed my time there.
So when you joined the board, there was a female majority on the board.
Yes.
Zoe Lofgren and Susie
Susie
Wilson, the three of you, and there was a female county executive, Sally Reed.
Right.
Did that make governing different? Excuse me, for everybody's information if they don't know, it's a 5-member board, so three women.
Right. I would say on all the bodies that I've served on where women hold at least the majority of the seat or close to the majority of the seat.
Now be careful, don't be sexist.
I
here.
know, but I'm just going to say, when it came to making the tough decisions, they made the tough decisions. I remember at the city council, I had another woman serving with me, and when a tough decision came up about having to deal with a local restaurant, the two of us voted for it. And when the Board of Supervisors came up with jail issues and other kinds of issues, it was the three women who really voted on those issues. So my experience has been that, the women will take the tough issues and vote that way.
Well, you mentioned a couple of controversial issues before, the jail being one of them. What do you think were the most controversial things during your time on the county board?
I think that was the most controversial issue.
So this was about overcrowding in the jails.
Right.
And a judge ordered the board to solve the problem and threatened to put you in jail.
Right. All of us in jail. And when we said, well, we can't have our meetings, he said, well, we'll only put in 2 at a time so that you can have 3 members. But I think the thing to remember is that the county was building a new jail at the time. It's the current new jail. Well, it's not that new anymore, but it's the jail on Heading that was single cells. And the judge wanted single cells. And we said, well, we've got it under construction. And he said, not fast enough. So when we looked at all alternatives or makeshift things that we could do in the meantime, and couldn't come up with anything in the meantime, and basically said, you know, this is our option. This is the only thing that we have. And so he held us in contempt and then was going to throw us in jail. And it's interesting because Zoe Lofgren said to me, you know, there are a few people who are exempt from being put in jail before they have an appeal. Let's go up and change the legislation. And the legislation exempted people like, you know, museums, museum security, and I can't remember, a few others, law enforcement. So we went up and
to the state legislature
to get the law changed so that we would have the opportunity to appeal before we had to go to jail. And in essence, that's what happened. We appealed it, and the judge who heard the appeal overturned the order sending us to jail. So we never went.
So you never went, and the new jail got built with single occupancy cells.
Right.
What about greatest accomplishments? 12 years. What are you most proud of out of those 12 years? Not counting the jail.
Well, there are a number of things. One is the children's shelter, which we built for children who are abused and neglected, and that has its own history. We saved the county library district with the benefit assessment district and bringing together the city managers and the staff and county to have a vote on a joint powers board for the county libraries, and most of the county libraries were in my district. So, and we established that joint powers board, so we basically saved the county libraries. You know, we did, with the help, I know you're going to be interviewing Becky Morgan, with her state legislation, we were able to form locally the joint powers board for the Caltrain service. So we saved the Caltrain service.
And that could have been lost in that period of time, right?
Absolutely.
We take it for granted now.
Yeah, the state was throwing up their hands and said, we're not going to provide the service anymore. And then Becky had legislation that said if the locals came together, they could run the service. So we have formed the Joint Powers Board.
San Mateo County, San Francisco County, and Santa Clara County.
And you know, smaller things like we started. I was part of starting the county solid waste program, where we did recycling countywide. Now there had been cities doing it, but we started it countywide. So that was nice. And then last but not least, when I first got on the board, there was a proposal to increase development in the hillsides by a factor of 2 to 3. And we did, then we called it Preservation 2020, which kind of stopped that immediate proposal. And then later on, we redid the general plan and kind of codified development in the hillside so we wouldn't see that kind of thing.
So the general plan lays out what the future of the county development should look like on county territory only, right?
Right.
The unincorporated areas.
But you know, the interesting thing is, Terry, is that the county's plan to have development occur in the cities, which makes sense, where the services are provided, took away their opportunity to get tax revenue. So a lot of counties were developing in the hillsides, and so it was a revenue thing. So we kind of, you know, we sacrificed county revenue for the cities to have it in the development.
You also were very active in regional government.
Yes.
Association of Bay Area Governments, which is all the counties and cities around the 9-county Bay Area.
Right.
Metropolitan Transportation Commission, which is the same territory, but focusing on transportation. It seems like that's sort of a thankless task because it's not very high on the agenda of most of your constituents, I'm sure. You also were very active in regional government.
Yes.
Association of Bay Area Governments, which is all the counties and cities around the 9-county Bay Area.
Right.
Metropolitan Transportation Commission, which is the same territory, but focusing on transportation. It seems like that's sort of a thankless task because it's not very high on the agenda of most of your constituents, I'm sure. What really got you into regional planning and governance?
Well, you know, I think it was probably my urban planning background that said, you know, what you develop in San Jose doesn't stop at the San Jose borders. It continues on. So I was looking at both ABAG for land use issues and Metropolitan Transportation Commission for transportation issues. And actually, a goal I had, you know, there are goals that you have that you accomplish and goals that you have that you don't accomplish. I wasn't able to accomplish, I thought a merger of those two would be the best for the Bay Area.
ABAG and MTC. Yeah.
And now I understand it's finally happening.
Yeah.
Because you can't divorce land use from transportation.
Right.
So, but I enjoyed that work, and I thought we are the most populous county in the Bay Area, and I thought it was important to have that voice on both of those bodies, you know, because their decisions impact us so much.
I think your successors on the board have felt that too, and the county's been pretty well represented.
Yes.
On MTC and ABAG.
Yes.
Well, another idea ahead of its time, Dianne. So, 1996 ended your 12 years on the board.
Right.
What you been doing since?
Well, I left the board and then I went to the California Transportation Commission for 4 years, and that's a governor's appointment. And again, it was the transportation, wanting to see the Bay Area have a say in statewide transportation issues. And so I lasted through that governor, and then the governor changed, and so I changed too, but I was there. I served on Peninsula Open Space Trust, which is really, you know, preserving and protecting land, both in San Mateo and Santa Clara counties. Oh, you know, I did forget to mention the Open Space District. That was really something that we worked.
Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority?
Right.
You did that?
Well, ours was the first group, and we were unsuccessful and realized that it wasn't my district, my supervisorial district.
Yeah.
So my member of my staff became helped that, and the leaders in San Jose and Morgan Hill and the rest took it on, and they eventually got it passed.
Who was that staff member?
John Gibbs.
John Gibbs, San Jose State Political Science alumnus.
That's right.
Yes.
Right, and a BA in, I think, or a master's in business administration too. Yes. Yeah. But John actually, I think, became their first staff person after the election was successful. But I digress.
Yes.
I kept doing things I like to do, and the children's shelter. When I left office, I read a newspaper story about a young man who was at San Jose State that lost his home because they closed the dormitories during the holidays. Then I said, we need to do a scholarship program for foster kids who don't have a home to go to. So it's now called Pivotal, but now we're providing scholarships to foster kids in college. So I'm on that board, SPUR board, land use and transportation, San Jose.
Still urban planning.
Urban planning. Foothill Dianne board I was on for a while. I tend to like things that have a beginning and an end. You know, like I started I was on a charter.
Term limits.
Well, I mean, like the Charter Review Committee of Sunnyvale.
Yeah.
I did that. For Mid-Penn Regional Open Space District, I chaired their committee that was looking at whether to go for a bond measure or not. So those kinds of projects, they come and they're completed, and there's a sense of accomplishment with those.
What's next?
Well, I'm still on the Spur and Pivotal
Yeah.
and those, so
Yeah,
I think that's kind of enough.
and
for now.
grandkids.
Yes, who are getting older.
Well, speaking of kids, what would your advice be for somebody young, interested in politics? Is local politics a good way to get in?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I tried the traditional way by going for a planning commission or a park and rec commission.
Commission appointments, yeah.
I think it really would be great, and I know cities are looking for young people to do that. So I would say, you know, start with that to see if you like it. I mean, you might find that going to meetings is not your cup of tea, but if you like that and you like that, then I would say, you know, talk to people who are interested in the same subject you are and see if they'll back you when you run for office. You know, there's a local environmental group or biking group or whatever.
Or in smaller cities, just get out and work at it yourself.
So,
Go
which
door
is
to
what I
door.
did.
Yeah.
Which is what I did.
Yeah,
I did precinct walking long before
Yeah.
I did anything else.
still works.
It's
It's harder now because nobody's home or they don't want to answer
Answer
the
the
door.
door.
But if you can actually talk to people, that's still the most effective.
I can't believe to this day, and I've been out of office over 20 years, people will say to me, I remember when you came to my door. It's still something that people remember.
Well, that's
So-
remarkable. Well, Dianne McKenna, we're out of time.
Oh, wow.
Thank you very much, and good
It was
luck
a
with
pleasure to see
good luck
you.
with your next endeavors.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you.
For other interviews with the leaders and activists who shaped the history of San Jose and Santa Clara County, look for the Valley Politics History Interviews on YouTube. I'm Terry Christensen. Thanks for watching.